Winston, please. Hello, welcome back to our Q&A section or fee sharing section. We'll have Winston to talk about his experience of using ChatGPT and how he plays this with his granddaughter. Winston?
Okay, I've been using ChatGPT for a while, and several points. One usage of I'm 75 years old. My granddaughter is 11 years old. It's difficult to communicate, to talk something that all of us can appreciate. So I gave her my ChatGPT user ID and password, and she appreciates that. And not only that, she would come back and ask me, and I would give it to her again, and I asked her, what have you been doing? Now, so my point is, ChatGPT can be a vehicle for people to talk about, even among people that sometimes you don't have a topic. That's the first point. The second point is, I've been struggling with doing a living trust. Now, for those people, I hope some of you appreciate this. A living trust in the United States and also in a Western world is very important, because there's a probate process if you don't have a living trust. Very costly and very time consuming. When you pass away, can take a year, 2 years for your descendants to receive the funding, and it's very costly. It can be a big chunk out of your estate. What I found out is that when I go to a lawyer, lawyers don't help that much. They're very expensive. So I finally made up my mind to do it myself. So several days ago, I started this project doing my living trust. It's interesting. So I asked ChatGPT, what can I do? And he'll explain to me the process. But he keep on reminding me, you should get a lawyer. You should get a lawyer. But I keep on going back to the ChatGPT. I say, I don't want a lawyer. I want to do it myself. Help me out, So finally, he gave up. ChatGPT gave up and gave me the information to do it myself. Now, it turns out that there's a way to do it by myself. And now I haven't done it yet. I mean, I haven't finished the project yet. I believe I can get this project done within maybe a month. Now, which is, by the way, this can be a saving of, $10,000. It's a good saving. The other thing I think I can do is, I like my accountant, my tax accountant. When you find a tax accountant, you don't want your neighbor to be your tax accountant, because he or she would find out everything that you have. I don't want that. So you want to find someone who doesn't know you, who will never see you again after the transaction is done. Now, what better way is it to deal with a machine? Because he's not a human being. And I can do all kinds of things. So what I'm trying to suggest is, if you have a task that is personal and you don't want to deal with a person, AI is a good tool. ChatGPT is a good tool to do it. So my sharing is enough. I'll let somebody else to take up my time.
Thank you, Winston. Yes. That is a very critical question, and something we probably would like to have better tools to help us out. The next one, we have Otto. Otto has questions and comments. Otto?
Hi, good morning, good evening, everyone. So it's very exciting. Thank you for all the speakers and experts who have used this tool extensively and conscientiously and thought about that. Now, my background is both a technologist and a banker. So I'm very focused on risk management and risk remediation. Okay. I think as a tool, as a technology in itself, as a tool, is neither good nor bad. But looking at the development of these, I have a major concern. I think which both all the speakers, expert speaker has already touched on. How do you use this thing? How do you protect the agency of the user? Because if you blindly apply this, then it could lead you anywhere. And we already see this in earlier. I mean, some of the younger people, just whenever you ask them, just go Google, right? Google, you Google it. And whatever come down, they would just absorb, accept it as true. This is very, very dangerous. Secondly, it's also been touched on is the productivity and how you use this. Now, if you blindly use this, some of the really nightmarish scenario would become true, like the mass redundancy of both blue collar and white collar jobs. Okay, so the question is, how do we, at this point, when it's still not out of control, as actually creator, technologist, user, conscientious user, and educator, to educate the next generation or the potential user of these tools to use it wisely and because I think critical thinking is completely lacking in a lot of younger people. I live in the UK for the last half a century, right? It's not just in anywhere, but in UK, across Europe, it's the same. And also with the Asian education system, they tend to be whatever the teacher teach you, you just accept, okay? Then that means you don't have critical thinking. You don't ask the difficult question. You don't ask why, how, or you don't challenge it, right? It's not encouraged to challenge these things. And that means over time, you would lose skill. You can be easily actually let down a completely wrong idea. And so this is something which is very, very worrying. Okay, so I think this is what I want to highlight, and I may not, I don't know whether there's any research or any particular paper talking about these type of topics. And secondly, I am also involved with the European Forum on AI, AI regulation. But so I think this is some of the certainly European countries, certain users of these two are starting to think about that. All right. Now, the third thing is, I think it's also been touched on, like all IT system databases, it's rubbish in, rubbish out, right? Okay, so the extent of your database, what you put in it is what you actually extract out of it. Even with AI help, it would still have limitation. The other point is, how do we then validate and challenge these, right? Because human being, in terms of if you don't have a specialized knowledge, then it's very difficult for you to challenge. At least you need to have a means to, for example, go through all the literature. If you haven't read it, sometimes you would miss things as well. Okay, but I think we have a panel of expert user, people with life experience and conscientious in using and driving these. It's easy for us to see this, but if you when you apply it in an education environment, I think Svetlana has done a good job to actually use to ask her student to critique and so on. I think this is helping the thinking process, right? What difference between a human being and a machine is human being have this conscientious thought which is unique. I think it would be very difficult to for a machine to actually achieve that, right? Okay, whatever they could say in this type of if you ask them a moral question, they would just regurgitate whatever been said by some other people and some kind of combination. But at the end, it's critical that we teach the user how it come about and critically look at it. The other point is it's great to use this as a training tool, but we cannot rely on it because otherwise we would actually de-skill ourselves. We would be regressing. We don't know how to think. We don't know how to apply things. Okay, a good example. Good example: use of calculators, right? And unless you understand the principle and you can do it yourself, the calculator is only a tool for help you to improve productivity. But if you don't understand the principle or actually not fluent in actually you doing the actual manual way, it is going to problem. For example, when you apply to machinery, if everything is done for you, you would never learn anything. You would never learn anything. And over time, you would regress. And so when the generation who know how to do it pass away, and you've got a generation which completely rely on these two, how do you actually create new things, right? Because you would be actually completely controlled by whatever limitation the machine can actually acquire, right? So we are actually creating a path of degeneration for human being. Knowledge, you build on the knowledge, but if you don't understand the underlying knowledge, how do you actually generate new stuff and critique it, right? And there's also the moral aspect of that. How do you actually embed this in? How do you use it? So these are the questions that I raised that and would like the expert panel and everyone who uses this or who intend to create business product and services out of this, that we need to think a bit longer term. We need to think about the unintended consequence of that, because look at the social media, right? It started out with a great idea, but it actually now degenerated into a problem that is very difficult to fix. Okay, and with ChatGPT, it just sort of turbocharged it. Okay, I think that's what I want to comment and actually stimulate some discussion and and elicit everybody's view on this.
Yeah, thank you so much, Otto. Before we would like to invite others to talk about moral aspects, critical thinking, engineering design, we would like to have Savio to have a quick response to Otto's comments. Savio?
Yeah. Thank you, Otto, about your comment. I can see this is one of the major problems coming, and yet at the same time, it's just like we would say this is the digital discrepancy, because digital literacy or AI literacy nowadays, because basically we have two things. One is we need to know what tool we are going to have, and the second thing is we have to know how to use them properly, just like a knife or gun or whatever. You can do, well, it's neutral. You can do whatever way. But for me, I would suggest one quick way to help to address that is a kind of reiteration. The knowledge acquisition is a reiteration. At the first, you don't know, not exactly. You don't know what exactly is the area that you want to investigate or knowledge domain. And from that part, you can have some very broad idea, very general question to ask ChatGPT. And through this information, you know how to ask. And then while you are knowing how to ask, and then don't rely on ChatGPT, but go for Google or even go to your university library, really find out the material, and then you get these kind of material to then you know how to ask. Or maybe you have got this information and feed to the system and let ChatGPT to refine that. So this is a kind of reiterate reiterate, so that the thing we can go to the knowledge, go deeper. And then throughout that process, we have to bear in mind, always challenge the system. And always getting, if there is something controversial, get some real expert to check against. I think this is the way that I'm practicing. Yeah. So go back to you, Annie.
Yep, thank you,
Sorry.
Savio. Yes.
Can I make a just quick comment? I understand that, and I think depending here are all expert user, and they know what to do because they already got the critical thinking skill. My issue is how do we imbue this in the youngster, people who hasn't got the knowledge,
Right.
as teachers, as parents, as a society. This is what we need to actually teach. How do you use this tool, right? How do you use a knife? You can use it good or bad. At the end, technology is neutral, right? A tool is neutral. It's how you use it, and this is what we need to actually focus. I want to highlight because I know Svetlana actually mentioned that, and I think Savio and Yves also understand this very well. I think for us, we understand it, but I'm thinking the next generation, how do we actually perpetuate this skill in human society in the next generation? And because otherwise it could create a lot of potential huge problems further down the road.
Yes. Thank you, Otto. And I would like to get Frank to speak about his insights, and following Frank will be KK. Frank?
Okay, hey, thank you,
Hey.
Annie.
Sure. Huh?
And also thanks, for the sharing of all the speakers and the guests. Actually, my company is also using ChatGPT in our app about real estate consulting and agency service. We just started. With the help of ChatGPT, so we can get more scientific and accurate evaluation about any real estate. But now we only focus on Shenzhen market. We just started. Say when we put our real estate agent address, then we can get many pages of report about this real estate. Say its value, its environment, its future, some related policy, and blah blah blah. So I believe, ChatGPT is very helpful, and I don't worry too much whether it will bring some bad effect to us, as we only care about all the result from ChatGPT is based on the real data, real information, not fake data. And I found that ChatGPT, he can self-teaching, self-learning, so it can become more smarter and smarter. So every time when you ask the same question, then the answer will become better and better. So I'm optimistic about its future. Yeah, that's my sharing.
Thank you, Frank. And we got KK, who bring us a new aspects of using generative AI is in engineering design. KK?
Thank you, Annie.
Hi.
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm not giving any introduction or view on this, but I'm just asking questions. As you may know, I'm an electronics engineer who is crazy in doing development work on electronic circuits. So my first thing I want to do is whether ChatGPT can help me to design circuits. And I searched on the web. I didn't get any good reply, any good answer. And so I turned to another aspect of my work, which is programming. You know, nowadays, electronic products needs some kind of software programming if any so-called intelligence can be built in. But seeing the user menu for a program language, such as Kotlin, I'm looking at thousands of pages in the menu. So I'm not in a position to learn this new language. So I asked the ChatGPT, I tell him what I want to do. And surprisingly, it gives me a 2-page coding or task. Looks very impressive. So I think, and I think I haven't completed my project yet, but I think I can eventually use this for my design. And given I was given to know that computer programs are actually a language between human beings and the machines. And computer programs are actually more precise, more accurate than our language. Okay, so it is actually easier for the AI bot to understand the computer programs. So it's likely we'll have very good design tools using AI. That's my share.
Thank you,
Yes.
KK. That using AI in number of design will be definitely an area of application, but as we shared before, it needs a very comprehensive database and rule base to select the right choice. From this point, I know GPX has a future study mission. I would like to give 2-minute advertisement time to Tony. Tony, are you with us? Tony? Tony, we would like you to talk about your study mission.
Can I add one point at this moment?
Please, please.
Yes. Sometimes the reply from ChatGPT is not so good. And I query it. And then the answer is wrong again. And eventually it admitted that he is not able to access the internet right now. His answer is based on the training data 2 years ago, 2021. So if you're expecting something new, don't rely on it. Okay.
Right. Yes.
Thank you.
Since Tony may not be around, let's give our advertisement time to Svetlana for her AI symposium in coming June. 2 minutes, Svetlana.
Okay, thank you, Annie, once again. It's been an amazing sharing this morning. I really enjoyed hearing views about experiences and how ChatGPT, for example, can empower us as a mediator between different generations. Winston, that was quite interesting. Or replacing expensive lawyers, that was also quite interesting. Yeah, I think it's fun. There's so much we can do, but at the same time, I really agree with Otto that we need to think critically about the future and the long-term impact, not immediate impact on our businesses, but really long-term impact on humanity. So at the AI here in June, we are running a symposium that we're calling The Power of AI in Education and the Workplace, Navigating the Future Together. We phrased it positively. In fact, ChatGPT suggested this title and our president really liked it. But even though it's so highly positive, we are critical and we're looking at 2 strands, applications as well as ethics. So I would like to invite everyone to please join us as speakers, perhaps presenters, but also participants. It's going to run in a hybrid mode, both face-to-face on our beautiful campus, which you can see behind me, but also online. So we'll be providing a link for those who are interested. Both Eve and Annie are helping me with this symposium. Thank you so much. And I hope that we'll be seeing Savio, but maybe many of the participants here today as well at the symposium. So maybe I'll share the link in the chat. If you would like more information, please just either find me on LinkedIn or approach me through Annie. I'll be happy to chat. Thank you, Annie.
Thank you. Thank you. So thank you so much for the time this morning. I think we did share some of the experience of our pioneers of how to use generative AI tools. And at the same time, we are facing a lot of new issues or challenges. When I was studying, we learned from our lecturers that data has little value, so we need to convert data into information. But like in today, we need more than just a bunch of information. We need critical thinking to learn our insights, to distinguish which is right, which is correct, and which is like not suitable for us to use. So data, process, ethics, tools are all important. So I may want to invite everyone who is training, learning, exploring these AI tools to let us know what you come up with a certain time later, maybe like near June when Svetlana has that symposium, to let us know as case sharings, or in the future that Winston will allow us to run another ChatGPT follow-up to let us know how you experience using these tools. So once again, on behalf of GPX, thank you for your time, and we hope to see you again next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you
Bye-bye.
very much.
Thank you,
Thank
Very
everyone.
you.
interesting
Thank
discussion.
you.
Great to know you
Bye-bye.
all. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.